Welcome back to Turf Talk, Final Vote Edition. Vance, we've been counting down, so to speak, using the Hall of Fame ballot to eliminate contenders. I think they're due this week or were due last week. Either way, I know we've already made our selections, and we'll disperse the drama. Obviously, Rachel Alexandra and Zenyatta, I'm assuming, were two on your ballot.
Yes, they were surefire Hall of Famers from the time they retired, even before that. And I am not about to become the butt of jokes across America by being the one to keep them from getting into the Hall unanimously. So yes, I voted for both of them.
Yeah, slam dunks in my mind, and as you said, that was sort of known even 5 years ago, so won't belabor the point. Although I will say an interesting sidebar there is I think, 10, 15 years ago, only one of them would have gotten in under the former rules where they took one from each division. Yeah. I won't put you on the spot and ask you which one you would have voted for.
I think the popular sentiment probably would have been for Zenyatta. I think she may have had a bigger fan club at the end of her career than Rachel. I probably would have gone that way myself just because she had 3 divisional titles to her name and then a near perfect record.
I agree. The longevity there would have won out for a first ballot nod if needed, but thankfully they're both deserving and they're both going to get in. We defer from there, though. I only ended up voting for one other entity. For me, it came down to these were the 3 I knew I was going to vote for. There were 2 more I was really considering, and I felt like if I had to add one, I would have had to add another. They only take the top 4, so I didn't want to vote for 5. I ended up voting for 3, and the third for me was jockey Victor Espinoza. The Triple Crown obviously looms large, but for me, 3 Kentucky Derbies, it was a big reason I voted for Burrell, and that to me won out. And he's had a distinguished career, and certainly American Pharoah, the cherry on top, and he's still going, so who knows what can be. But he was my third, and I don't believe he made your ballot.
He did not. I voted for 3 other entities. Trainer Steve Asmussen, who was left off the ballot last year due to some controversy. He's back on it this year. I think having trained, at least 4 champions, Horses of the Year, Curlin and Rachel Alexandra, I think he definitely deserves to be in. When I got my first ballot this year, I kind of decided that I'd be the kind of voter to use my vote tactically in some respects. Take care of old business before new business. I think guys like jockey Craig Perrette, who's been on the ballot for many years now, trainer David Whiteley, who basically kind of left the major racing scene in the early 1980s. I think they had very distinguished Hall of Fame quality careers. They've been kind of languishing, so to speak, on the ballots for a number of years. I think by withholding my vote from guys who I think are going to make the Hall of Fame anyways, like a Victor Espinoza, maybe like Ramon Dominguez, and supporting guys like Perrette and Whiteley, I think I'm possibly doing themselves a little bit of giving them a slightly better chance, but I've just got the 1 vote, so it might not make a huge difference. But my conscience is leading me in the way to vote the way I do.
Sure, and we're at the point now. I mean, if we had started this process and we got to here and you said, "Oh, I'm in love with English Channel," I would have disagreed and said, he's not a Hall of Famer to me. I think the ones we have left, even though we ended up going in different directions after the obvious 2, are Hall of Famers, and I agree. I mean, someone like Ramon and Victor certainly are going to get in. Craig, you brought, I think it was you who brought this up, if not it was James, but you look back at the early years of the Breeders' Cup, he was the leading jockey, and obviously has gotten past since, and his career maybe didn't have the length afterward that, say, a Gary Stevens or Jerry Bailey had, but certainly he was at the very, very top in the late 80s, early 90s.
He was, and he had 2 Triple Crown victories to his credit, which is actually 2 more than Hall of Fame nominees Ramon Dominguez and Garrett Gomez. He had, I think, at least a handful of Breeders' Cup victories in the first 5 years. And I was just kind of reviewing his record before we went on the camera here today, and he was extremely proficient riding sprint champions. I mean, I think he had Housebuster, he had ELO, he rode Safely Kept on a regular basis, and I think Smoke Glacken, if I'm not mistaken. So, one of the best, obviously, gate riders around if you had a Hall of Fame quality sprinter in your stable.
Well, I can't disagree. I mean, I didn't vote for him, so I guess I disagreed in some respects. But like I said, for me, it came down to there were the obvious three. A few others I think belong, but I felt like if I had to think about it, I'll just stick with the three. You took a tactical approach, and we certainly appreciate the honesty. As always, when it comes to voting, for me, with whether it's Eclipse Awards or this, it's consistency. It rankles me when I see people sort of change the rules to fit, whatever happens to be in vogue at the time. So, we'll look forward to holding you to these standards next year, and hopefully you'll do the same with me. Keep each other honest, and definitely getting some good people and horses in the Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah, it's going to be a terrific ceremony in August at Saratoga, and of course the highlight will be Zenyatta and Rachel Alexandra.
No doubt.
And the two groups will finally meet together in the Hall of Fame, something they didn't do on the racetrack, unfortunately.
No, and that'll, I'm sure, be brought up many times, but Rachel raced it at Saratoga, and, the Mosses and Sheriffs, been around the game long enough. They're certainly going to be celebrated. It's going to be a lot of fun, and as much fun perhaps as talking Derby, which this will do it for the Hall of Fame discussion. We've shared our ballots, and now it'll be on to the Derby, and I'm sure we'll be talking Oaks and Derby over the next couple weeks.
Looking forward to it.
Until then.